Hello, hi everyone. Bonnie Violet here. Where is that music not stopping? There we go. There was like a little bit of delay. It's so wild. I can hear myself. Well, hi everyone. I'm Bonnie Violet. I'm a trans, femme, genderqueer, spiritual drag artist and digital chaplain. If you can let me know how this sound is if you're listening, it sounds like it might be a little odd. But anyway, this is Dragon Spirituality as part of our summer series in collaboration and sponsored by the Dragon Spirituality Summit. Uh, this is going to drive me wild. There's like a echo. Let me see. All right. Sorry about that. That's the joys of going live, I guess. Um, yeah, so this is just going to have an echo. All right. Anyway, yeah, you're here. You're at Dragon Spirituality. I'm so glad that you could join us this evening. This is kind of a immersion of a drag show, if you will, and a conversation. So I will be sharing the information of socials as well as how you can tip our guest. And so feel free to tip them, throughout the show, however way you feel. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch Live, you could always just put a comment on and it'll come up for us to see it. And then we will engage with it in whatever way we feel like. This echo. Okay. If folks are listening, if you can just let me know that the sound sounds good to you. I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest and get things going. Hey, hey, girl.
Hey, how are you?
Can you, do you hear an echo?
I'm on my laptop and everything seems pretty groovy to me.
That is so wild. I have no idea. I wonder, is that, there we go.
Like I said, everything sounds good to me.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So anyway, I figured out what was going on. I apologize, folks, for the confusion on my end. Thank you for sticking with us. Thanks so much for joining me this evening, Layla. Um, yeah, so glad that you're here.
Thank
So
you for
sorry.
having me. I'm so glad to be here. I've been looking forward to this for the past month now. So, yay,
Yes, me
we're here.
too. Me too. You want to tell us where you're at? Tell us
I
a
am
little
in
bit about
New
you.
Haven, Connecticut. I am still at work in the back room of the storeroom here.
Mm,
So, drag is all about making it work, and we're making it work tonight.
right, that's a great back room you have there at work.
It's just a little problem. One of my coworkers, little prop set, helped me set it up.
Nice. That is awesome. So glad you could join us. I'd like to just get right in there.
Okay.
I would love to hear a little bit about like what life was like for you growing up as a young person and kind of what sort of spirituality or what your experience with spirituality was as a young person.
Okay. I grew up in Pennsylvania, in Harrisburg, the capital, in fact. And, normal boy growing up there in the 80s, born in 73. So, 83, I was 10. And people who voted for Trump, I can't understand it, but we won't get too political. But I had a great childhood. There was nothing terrible, terrible. There were some unhappiness. I think anyone with any degree of being a child in the world, learning your place, learning about yourself, everything that happened. So that wasn't anything terrible. Um, I was raised Baptist, in fact.
Hmm.
So I think I was baptized when I was 4. I Macedonian Missionary Baptist Church in Harrisburg. And then I want to say, I think my senior year in high school, I was just curious about everything. I used to work at the Goodwill. Still there?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm still here.
Still there?
Yeah, I am still here. Are
Okay.
you?
Okay. So you just froze. That's
Yeah.
okay. So, like I said, was raised Baptist, and then senior year in high school, I was just curious. My after school job was I worked at the Goodwill, and I'm an avid
Mhm.
reader still. So I was books and books and books and more books, and I just came across different things, and it was like, that's a valid point. That's a valid point, which led me to eventually be taking my Shahada and becoming Muslim, and that was in my senior year in high school, and I want to say I vividly remember that because I think it was at the end of Ramadan. That's the month of
Mm.
fasting.
Yeah. Right. And then
And
was
then
that
after
something that
that, I was,
I was
I'm
just gonna
sorry, go
ask
ahead.
if I was just gonna ask if then you kind of practiced on your own, if you were able to find a community?
Well, I was in the army when I got out of school. Yes, I was in the army. When I got out of
Mhm.
school, I went into the army for 2 years to get money for college. And after that, I'm trying to think. My first duty station was Korea, believe it or not. And there was a big, huge masjid there, a big mosque. And
Mhm.
that's where I would spend my Fridays, going through the library and reading everything I could. A lot of the stuff that was in the library, of course, was in Arabic. So that posed a problem. But other than that, that's how I came to my spirituality. And then, of course, the whole thing, the traditional view in Islam and the three monotheistic faiths about us being queer, that we're not accepted, et cetera, et cetera. I just had to find my place in that. And here I am now.
Mhm. What was that experience like for you?
It's frustrating, I would say the least, because being raised Baptist, where that's pretty much frowned upon,
Mhm.
in the Christian church, and then of course becoming Muslim. I want to say things always go full circle. I remember in '88 when Salman Rushdie was that whole fatwa against him by
Mm.
Khomeini, and now that's in the media again, and you know how things always circle around. But yeah, wow, I just thought about that just now, and it's like, wow, that was I remember that vividly, and that was before I had become a Muslim. And now being Muslim, it's like it strikes home even more.
Mhm. Yeah, and so the queerness in your were you able to find community that was able to support you as a queer person
As
within
a
your
queer Muslim, I would say probably not. It's been one of those things where I really don't have too much interaction with the Muslim community here. I do
Mhm.
have some friends who are Muslims, and I go to masjid during Ramadan. Like you have the Easter Sunday Christians who only go in
Mhm.
Easter. Well, I go in Ramadan, and then after that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not there. And I know
Mhm.
plenty of people in the area, but I live my life, but I'm not hiding also. But I also don't put myself in situations where I know that I'm not welcome.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I hear you. That's yeah, I'm like that. That's too. I feel like I feel like there's a lot of us who end up kind of having to make our own community, our own
Mhm.
space, or oftentimes I feel like I'm kind of on my own with that. Is that how
Yes,
you experience it?
exactly, exactly. In fact, okay, so I'm going to reach for something right now. So
Hmm.
my stage name, drag name is Laiylah Alf Wa Laiylah, which is
Hmm.
Alf Laiylah Wa Laiylah, which is none other than Arabian Nights. It's a thousand
Mm.
and one Arabian Nights. That's what Laiylah Alf Wa Laiylah means. And this, the reason why I chose this name, Laiylah Alf Wa Laiylah, was because this is like my original stage name was Layla. And
Hmm.
then one day I was like, well, I want to make it fancier and blah, blah, blah. And years later, I've learned now that my paternal grandmother, her name was Lilia, which is one of the
Mm.
versions of Layla. And I was just like, what?
Wow.
Huh? What? Like literally. And then also the reason for Laiylah Alpha Layla. So this is the most second famous book in Islam. And
Hmm.
trust me, it is not, you don't want to give this to your children. It is a
Right.
lot of stuff in here that's like, yeah, we all know about Aladdin and blah, 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 but they cut out a lot of the good stuff. But if you want to read something racy, Read this.
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble's
There's
copy, by the way.
there's a lot there, huh?
Yes, there's a whole lot there.
Yeah. Do you one of the things that I've experienced too is like I've struggled too as well as like finding a community or being able to go into a church or a spiritual setting and really have that connection. But sometimes I feel like because I was able to kind of or because I wasn't able to get it in those places, I
Hmm.
found a way to connect, I think, to God, higher power,
Hmm.
whatever, in a way almost feels I don't know if it's better, but it feels deeper. Um,
I
you know
would
what I
say
mean?
there's that whole thing. I was reading avid reader. It's called the Queer Encyclopedia, and they go through various religions. And at one point, they're discussing Islam, and there is the Sharia, which is the traditional view that you have to do this, blah 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 blah. And then there's also Tariqa, which is following your own
Mm,
spirituality, and that's kind of like what the Sufis do. You know, the ones that do the spinning thing. Those are the Sufis. In Christianity, you had what were the Christian mystics? I think they not sophists, but I can't think of the word. But there were Christian mystics, and just like there's Jewish mystics, the people with the Kabbalah. So
mhm,
I definitely had that spirituality from me starting off being raised Baptist and then even coming to Islam. And I have my place in God, and I fully admit, we could be wrong,
mm,
but I'm still here, and I think
right.
that as long as I live, and there's always going to be people like us. So God created us too. So that's where I
Mhm,
stand on that one.
right. And when were you first introduced to drag?
Ooh, believe it or not. Halloween, I think I was 4 or 5.
Mm,
And my mother was the first one to put me in a dress. And I distinctly remember spinning around in it and thinking, well, this is really cool. And
mhm.
we went to the party and everybody was just all agog over me because, oh, she's so pretty. She looks like a little baby doll, blah, blah, blah. And my mother was like, well, actually, that's my son. And they were just like,
Mm.
and I was like, wow, really? This has
Right.
that power and ability? So my mother was the one that got me started in drag, I guess. Well, yeah, she did.
Mhm. And when did you start, I guess, when did Layla come about?
Um, I want to say the first time that I had moved to New Haven, this is my second time being here in New Haven. I've been back in New Haven for about 15 years, but the early 2000s was when I started performing. In fact, I want to say maybe 2001, shortly, ironically, after 9/11 or just before 9/11, I started performing and doing drag, and then I took a hiatus for a good 10 years, and now getting back into it, and so many things have changed, and you have to wear nails now, and I was like, you don't have to wear nails now, but now I do.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I'm not wearing nails.
It's okay.
But
It's
I
okay.
know
It's all drag is valid. We have to remember
totally. If
all
I
drag is valid.
if I had my way though, like I totally would have done. I love wearing nails, but
I do
I
too.
just
It's like my friend who's here who's helping me. She does an amazing job. I wish my camera were better at depicting them for you. But yeah, when she's told me that press on nails, I'm thinking the cheap press on nails from the 80s and 90s. And she was like, no. And she made this pair. And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you
yeah.
kidding me? And so now
Mm.
every time I do a performance, she's like, oh, what new nails do you need? I'm like, okay, all right, sure.
That's amazing. I mean, it's such there's such an art to it. I'm
Yeah.
always impressed. Whenever I go get them done, I'm like, wow, this is just so much work and so much detail.
If on my Instagram post, I did one of my most recent looks. I did a gingham look, like a picnic look, and one of the nails on, I think, yeah, on the ring finger, she did the gingham pattern, and she said
Mm.
she had to do them 6 times, and I'm like,
Wow.
wow, to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank goodness for her, huh?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And so would you say that spirituality is part of your drag or
It is because I mean, I guess because being a believer and having some form of spirituality, yes. I post recently here in New Haven there was the Arts and Ideas Festival, which I wanted to get in last year, which I managed to get in this year. And I had posted on my Instagram that every time, once everything is on and you're sitting there waiting to go on, I'm nervous and I want to throw up. But
Mhm.
before then, because of my stage fright, before then, I'm always humbled at, wow, all of this hard work. And now I'm this vision of loveliness, I hope.
Mm, yes. I bet you are. So do you so it's like you I guess you channel your spirituality in the performance and getting ready for the performance.
Mhm.
Do you ever, would you say, perform in a spiritual way or do spiritual things while in drag?
I have. I always feel like you have to gauge your performance. I feel that my drag performances are both my art and my spirituality, but I've always wanted to do something that was more, uplifting as opposed to just like the hot dance number or a song of woe. In fact, one of my recent favorite performances was Never Enough by Gloria Allred from The
Mm,
Greatest Showman, because that song is just like speaks to me. It's all about the night and the stars. And I think that there's something really moving in that about finding your place in the divine and trying to live that out to the best of your ability. Because we're here for a reason and we all have to discover what reason that is why we are here.
right. It's that simple, right?
It is. It's that simple, but it's really not. In fact, today one of my coworkers, we finally went into the basement and got rid of a whole bunch of things that I was planning on giving to someone who broke my heart terribly
Mm,
4, 5, 6 years ago. And I was like, enough, khalas in Arabic, it has to go. And I've just been throwing things out, purging, which is
mm.
good, but it's hard to let go.
Yeah, yeah, that can be very it's hard to let go. Sometimes things have to be like ripped out of my hands before I
Hmm.
can let it go. Which,
Let
you
it
know,
go, let it go.
right? Which just makes it even more, I think, difficult than it needs to be, you know?
It can be I think, but that's part of life is that no one told us it was going to be easy. And like that song, I don't believe you brought me this far to leave me. So
Mm,
if you walk with that in your heart, knowing that not every day is going to be a walk in the park, or to
yeah.
even use that Arab proverb, all sun makes a desert. And you have
Mm,
to realize that there has to be some rain and some heartache. And I'm comfortable with the heartache. I mean, I feel like that's part of where my art form comes,
mhm.
where I can do that song of woe and heartbreak and hopefully bring the house down because people connect with you on that.
Yeah, yeah. Would you say, um, where is I gonna go with this? I was curious, what would you say to a queer person, a queer Muslim who was looking to do drag but was
Mhm.
struggling with, I guess, feeling like they could do that as, like what would you say to someone like yourself, maybe when you first got into drag and
Mhm. I remember last week when you kind of asked that of Nancy. I
mhm,
would say it's hard not being in the US or Great Britain, and probably even Great Britain. It's a lot of there's a lot of Islamophobia, and there are a great many Muslims, but then they're also really unwilling to accept that this is a part of human nature and that people are who they are, and they're going to do it no matter what. I don't care if you say you're going to hang someone, if you're going to burn somebody alive, if you're going to fell a wall on them or stone them to death. People
mhm,
are still going to do this and be themselves. So then why not just, okay, that's what you are, then be yourself. And I've had to learn that. So unless they're here in the States, it may not be so easy.
mhm,
And I would never want to say to anyone, if some queer Muslim kid in the Middle East, Iran, Saudi, wherever, not even Turkey, which is, so much more open, that it's easy for them, because it's not. It's
mhm,
not. It's not. And the only thing I can say is that, you know, at least be honest with yourself about what you do and don't like. And if you can, find your way to a place where you can be yourself. And if
Mm.
that means coming to America, then coming to America or Great
Yeah.
Britain. But as I said, even Great Britain, they still have to deal with a lot of, amongst the Muslim community, there's still the inability to accept that that you can be gay and Muslim.
Hmm. Yeah, like within the Muslim community in the States. But what about like people outside it? Because I don't know, I that was something I guess I hadn't really thought that much about, but
Mhm.
because I thought maybe being Muslim in the US would have a lot of its own challenges.
It
But
does have its own challenges, of course. I'm a black African American queer drag performing Muslim, and I'm represent cis heteronormative,
mm,
hence the beard.
yeah.
And I it's not easy for me, but I think it would be Herculean for some queer kid, even in Turkey or Egypt, Iran, Iraq, Saudi. It's they have a hard row to hoe, and
Hmm.
I think it has a long way to go. It's probably won't change for another 100, maybe 200 years. Even
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you think back to like 10 years ago or 12 years ago in the media when there was the Arab Spring, when all of the Middle Eastern nations were starting to unite and say, "Hey, we need our freedoms too."
Hmm.
And that took a very long time. So it's not easy, and I can say I wish them positive energy, and I know it's so Republican, although I'm not Republican, thoughts and prayers,
Mm,
but they have to find a way to be themselves and be honest about who they are. And then if they really want to be who they are, then they have to try and find their place, probably outside of their country.
mm.
That's probably in a Western nation. And I think that's the honest truth.
Hmm. When we for the promotion of this event,
Hmm.
you had created a video and posted it, and then
Yes.
it got a lot of people checking it out, but there was a
Yeah.
lot of not so kind things that people were saying. How
Hmm.
do you? I get that a lot too, but how do you? I often was like, I don't even know if we want to talk about it, but it feels like such a. I know it's a difficult place for me, receiving those kinds of messages all the time. How do you? I
How do you
guess.
deal with it? I've had to deal with that kind of treatment from people, my whole life. I
Yeah.
like to read. I'm a black person, so you're trying to be white. You're articulate. You're trying to be white. But I just see it as I have to be myself. I mean, now at 49, knocking on 50's door, I'm going to be me. And it's like
Mhm.
I've wasted enough time worrying about what other people think and feel about me. And I remember my mother and father used to say that to me all the time. You worry too much what other people think about you. And
Mm.
I remember both of them saying to me, they talked about Jesus Christ, the Son of God, them as Christians. So what do you think people are going to do? Let them talk. Let them
Right.
talk. That's all. If they decide to get physical or something, how do you deal with that? You deal with it. I was reading on Instagram where Tom Holland, the new Spider-Man actor or one of the
Mhm.
Spider-Man actors, he was saying that he was stepping back from Instagram because he was getting hate. And I'm like, this adorable little cute twink is getting hate?
Right.
Seriously? What? Why? Why? But I was like, yeah, the kid from what was the show? Game of Thrones, the one who played Joffrey that everybody hated. The
Mm.
the king, everybody hated that kid because he was such a great actor. And he was like, yeah, people really think you are this one thing and they don't know you.
Mhm.
So they're offended by it. But then as my friend pointed out, she was like, probably some of those dudes are closeted queer or gay or whatever, and they can't express that. So they have to put that on somebody else. And I'm like, well, they can put it on somebody else. It's not going to stick on me. I'm not going to stop being me anymore. So if you
Mhm.
don't like it, you can go lump it.
Right. This is a gender or that one of the subtitles, I guess, to this series is gender diverse. And
Hmm.
so I'm curious, how is it that you identify your gender?
I identify as a cisgendered man, as a
Okay.
cisgendered gay man. And because I'm gay, I like to express my femininity through my
Hmm.
drag. And then I would guess, even if femininity is even expressed through maleness, then I'm my daddy drag, because I'm a retail manager and I wear blazers and hats and overcoats, and I look like, your daddy from the 50s or 60s.
Hmm.
But that I thoroughly enjoy that, but I understand that that's a form of drag, and I
Hmm.
embrace that. And people like that, but some are, gravely offended by this. Except when I shave the beard off and they don't realize that I'm, a dude
Mm.
until I start talking, and it's like, what the.
Right. And has the beard always been a part of your drag, or is that?
No, I have decided to start experimenting with it, because I think it if all drag is valid, as we're learning now, then
Hmm.
why not be a bearded queen? But
Yeah.
you can check on, I think I have some pictures of myself on Instagram where I'm clean shaven, and I totally enjoy being clean shaven and, smelling like a rose, if you will. But I think it adds so much more that, you come in and you give them
Mhm.
this resplendent beauty, and then you have a full on beard. And of course,
Yeah.
with the grays, that makes it even better.
Hmm. Yeah, when I first started, I was a bearded queen,
Hmm.
and once I started transitioning, because I'm trans,
Uh-huh.
was like I kind of started to have a different relationship with like my beard and stuff. But I felt pretty, like I felt
Hmm.
like pretty in my beard and my hairy chest, and
Hmm.
you know what I mean. And I always thought that was like I enjoyed being a bearded lady. I loved it.
Hmm. I the irony is, I've always said this to people. It's like, I I like feminine men. I know, in spite of all of this, this glamour that you see, I love feminine guys. It's like, I
Hmm.
just like, just the way that most men feel when they're talking to a beautiful woman, I feel that way when I'm talking to a beautiful feminine man. And
Hmm.
so I always say I'm diabetic, so I like it sweet. So I no problem. I thoroughly enjoy feminine men. I love the fact that they like to sit and stroke my daddy beard and run their fingers through
Hmm.
it. It's like, yes, thumbs up.
Right. Yeah, and with your what would you say that you enjoy the most about drag?
Um, Performing, there's so much to enjoy about drag. There's so much not to enjoy.
Mhm.
Performing, coming up with the idea, executing it, and the beauty of it. There
Mhm.
really is, for me. There's something spiritual about it, because you're taking something from another plane of existence and you're making it reality. And
Mhm.
I don't have any children. I don't have a spouse, so my drag is my baby, if you will.
Mhm. Would you say that drag has had an impact on on who you are outside of drag?
Absolutely, absolutely. Layla is my feminine self. As I had written in my profile, that if I had an archetype, my female archetype would be an Amazon Wonder Woman. I've always loved strong women,
Mhm.
strong, beautiful women, and I appreciate that and I marvel at that. And part of me wants to be that, but I don't want to be a woman every day of my life. I definitely appreciate and love to see beautiful, strong women. And,
Mhm.
I fully believe that women need their own autonomy. Yes, maybe they might wear some things I wouldn't dream of wearing, but it's their right. I can't start, you have the right to wear whatever you like and be the
Mhm.
person that you want to be.
Yes, that's so true, so true. And has drag impacted your spirituality at all?
Absolutely. I feel like my drag gives me an opportunity to express the divine,
Mhm.
because I mean, we get so caught up in, I remember watching something, and Bob the drag queen had said, when you think of God, we say he, but is he a man? And your
Mhm.
response is no, he's not. So then
Right.
why do we have such a hang up on gender, and if why
Because we
can't
all have daddy issues.
I guess
Not
like
just
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't think I have daddy issues. I like being a daddy, but I don't know if I have daddy issues. Maybe that's a daddy issue. Hmm. Something to
hmm.
mull over. But as for
Right.
spirituality, absolutely my drag is it gives me something to accept the divine within my life. Absolutely.
hmm And how I'm curious, part of it is too is like what don't you like about drag? We'll go there with it.
Oh, she's going to go there. Um, the shoes,
Mm,
the corset, um, the padding. You know, in the
mm,
middle, I did a drag show the end of June for Pride, and drag queens, they always stick us in the basement, no air conditioning, no heat, etc., etc. And I am sweating buckets. I think I sweat my face off before I even got to perform because I'm like back there hipping and breathing to put my padding on. But it's yeah, there's pain, but with that pain comes the beauty. So you have to embrace it. Just like I'm embracing my gray hair, I have
hmm
to embrace the pain of drag.
Yeah. Has it impacted your love life or your friendships in any way?
I'm an introvert. My drag allows me to express my extrovertness, if you will.
hmm
Um, I have a handful of friends. I literally think I have about 6 friends to save my life. So they all know, they're all comfortable with it. They all come see me perform, etc., etc. The love life, I would say probably. I jest with some of my friends. I guess I'm lucky enough. I still get my swerve on. You
hmm
know what I mean? But
Yeah, I know what you mean.
once or twice a month. So
hmm
knocking on 50's door, that's pretty good. But I'd give it all up for love because love
Mm.
is the thing.
Yeah. So if you were with a partner who wasn't for drag, you would give it up?
I I don't know if I would give it up. I think we would have to have a long conversation, and not my most recent boyfriend, but my ex.
hmm
He didn't like the drag. He liked
Yeah.
me being his strong black man, but black man, what was it? Designing women, but he accepted it, but it was just like, well, I don't want to see it. I'm not going to come to your performance
Mm.
kind of things. So I think I wouldn't give up the drag, but if they didn't want to come see me perform or see any pictures, that would be our compromise.
Mm. Yeah, I was gonna say like just the way that you talked about drag and how it makes you feel and what you do with it, it would seem
Strong
uh,
and beautiful, powerful,
yeah.
a semi goddess, as I put on, not a goddess, not a
Mm.
demi-goddess with a D, a semi goddess, SEMI, a kind of a goddess. So
What
kind of a
I
goddess.
was gonna say like why semi?
It's kind of a goddess, not quite, but close.
Why not goddess? Is
Um, I don't I reserve that for the females, It's
Gotcha.
like, yeah, absolutely. I will express the feminine divine, but I am not the feminine divine. So I'm fine with that.
Understood. That makes sense to me. Especially, and you talked a lot about how it seemed like drag allowed you to kind of play out your more feminine side.
Mhm. It
Yeah.
does. It totally does. I mean, God knows if I were a rich man,
Right?
um, I my apartment is overrun with both my daddy drag and my Laiylah drag. And I'm
hmm
literally having to bring things here to work because we have this huge storage space to put some of my Laiylah drag because it's like it's on all of the windows, it's on all the door frames, it's spilling out of the drag closet, it's taken over my kitchen. So yeah.
hmm Do you have drag family?
Yes, I do. I guess I am now the second oldest living queen in New Haven.
Ah, that's a title.
I guess so. I guess that's the title. I don't
Be
know if that's the
proud.
title I
Be
want,
proud.
but it is. I'm accepting of it. So my elder drag sister, she's the first drag queen of New Haven. She's the first
Hmm.
lady of drag of New Haven. So I guess I'm like the second one, but I kind of keep that on the down.
Right, right. That's just amongst friends, huh?
Yes, it's just amongst friends. I'm one of the new up and coming queens. Not.
Mm. Do you have children? Drag children?
I do not. That's I don't know if I would want any drag children
Mm.
because I'm a store manager and it's hard enough to get everyone to just do. I can only teach you what I know you.
Right.
And I can share that with you. If you want to go off and do your own thing, that's fine. But I think probably because I'm not as out there as I used to be, and because of my age, that no one really gravitates towards me in that respect. I know that
Mm.
people admire my drag because it's like
Yeah.
the elegance of it, but I don't know if most younger drag performers want to show up in a ball gown or
Hmm.
a peignoir and rhinestone bespangle, and that's fine.
Uh, well, I was noticing that like that there's like a trend. Like it seems like you do really well on your own, kind of, and to
Hmm.
like encourage yourself. I know I've had a hard time having drag family
Hmm.
initially because I was like, that's just too much work. That's too much commitment.
Hmm.
But I recently became like a parent, I guess,
Okay.
a drag
Drag
parent.
mother. Okay.
What's that?
A drag mother.
Yeah, it was like unplanned pregnancies, two of them. It was like by accident, and it's been interesting to kind of like navigate that. But so many people often talk about um, just about drag family and that sort of thing. And I feel like my mommy and daddy issues play out
They
in
probably do. I mean, they probably do, especially if you're going to be a drag parent. I'm
mm,
certain that they probably do play out, because we are all only a product of our environment. And
mm,
the negative things that were done to us, we have to try and not repeat them on, in your case, your drag children. But by
yeah,
the same token, you're like, hey, I know what I'm talking about. You can listen to me or you can go
hmm,
figure it out for yourself.
right, right, yes. Um, we are coming up. We have about like 7 or 8 more minutes.
Mhm.
Is there anything that you would like to discuss that we haven't spoken of yet?
I'm just enjoying this totally. I don't have anything else to discuss per se, other than the questions, unless there's some questions down below or popping up.
I haven't seen any. We've had a fairly quiet audience this evening. There are folks that are watching because
Hmm.
it tells me,
Okay.
but we haven't been getting much comments tonight.
All right, that's fine. 10 people watching. You all get $1. No,
Right? And
tip your
how?
queens.
What's that?
Tip your queens. Remember that.
I
All of
know, right?
this is not cheap, babies.
Speaking of, how can folks learn about you and connect with you?
I am on Instagram. I am Laiylah the Magnificent. There's the shot of me, the illustration of me. So that is like my only. I still do have a Facebook, but
Hmm.
because, like I said, I'm not so young, I really don't want to sign into
Mm,
that and try and that password is lost. And I look at the
yeah,
pictures, I'm like, oh yeah, that's still there, but I don't know how to retrieve it. So
right, right.
I am Laiylah the Magnificent
So
on
Instagram's where
Instagram.
it's okay,
Yes.
great. And then how could folks send you a tip?
You can send me a tip. You can send it through, let's see, I have Cash App, and I believe it is Filthy Lucre Mammon. Yeah, I know that's weird.
Yes.
So it
You
probably won't come through.
you had me at filthy.
Uh,
Um,
but who doesn't want to be filthy?
right, right. And for folks who are watching or listening either live or later, you can find the links in the description as well. So you can
Yes.
connect with Laiylah. And Laiylah, you're looking forward to, I'm excited to be having you come out to Chicago.
I am, like I said, looking for accommodations and whatnot. It would really be wonderful to come out and perform. So you
Mhm.
let me know, and you let me know.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want you to, come and perform. I think it's in the mail, so to
Okay,
speak.
that is in the mail.
Yes, our deadline just ended for, drag performers,
Hmm.
but, we are gonna go ahead and extend it a little longer as well.
Hmm.
However, folks who have already applied, we're gonna be reaching out to them and
Okay,
letting them know that, we would love to have them, come and be a part of the shows. So,
awesome, awesome.
yeah, and
I've
so
never been to Chi Town too, so it would
oh,
be a new experience.
mhm. I love Chicago. I spent a few years there, and so it's a
Hmm.
really great city.
Okay,
Awesome. Well, I think we'll go ahead and end this thing. But thanks everyone who joined us this evening. If you're joining us live or you're listening or watching us after, um, yeah, check out the links in the description. So you can hear. We've had four other episodes before this one. We have another seven, six, right? This is five plus anyway. Every week through October the 5th, we'll have a new guest. And next week, our guest is Maxima Light from the House of Light, which is a house that was they were actually on season 3 of Legendary. So super
oh wow.
excited. Yeah, the HBO show
Uh-huh.
Legendary. So
I've
super
never
excited.
watched it, but familiar with it.
Yeah, so there's like the House of Light is specifically a house that's centered around spirituality. And
Cool.
so they were one of the houses on season 3, and then they reached out to me and was like, I would love to be on the show. And so I'm really excited to have them join us
Looking
next week.
forward to hearing from her as well.
Yes, definitely. Well, thanks again. You have a really great night, and goodbye, everyone.
Have a good night, as they used to say.
Right.